a little bit about the main challenges of the digitization process today.
Okay, so good evening, gentlemen. I came around 2 o'clock here when the lunch was going on, and I entered, and then I had Nitin was giving a talk on the OTT. He spoke about consumer experience. He spoke about a lot of technologies. And then Sanjit spoke about, instead of why digitization, why not digital? So when you look at the cable industry, and when we talk about digitization, we need to understand that why every time when we come on a forum, we talk about the challenges of digitization in a cable industry. So when we talk about the challenges of digitization in a cable industry, we need to understand that the cable industry started around 15 years back, okay? And it was one of the steps that was taken way back when Doordarshan was only there. So at that point of time, it was a revolutionary step that was taken by the cable industry. But today, it is lagging behind, okay? So the key challenges today towards the cable industry is particularly the relationship that is currently between the various stakeholders, whether it is between the broadcasters, okay, whether it is between the MSOs and the LCOs. So still the lack of trust is there, okay, between all the three key stakeholders. Plus, when we talk of digitization today, is still the pricing, there is an issue on pricing, whether it is at a retail level or whether it is at the wholesale level. There are a lot of consultation process that is still going on. A lot of litigations are pending in the various forums all across, whether it is High Court, Supreme Court, TDSAT. So the people have still, the 90% of cable business as on date is being done through local cable operators. So it is very important from the digitization perspective that we need to understand that digitization is a reality now, okay? It's not that, if there are delays, though through court interventions or otherwise, it is not going to happen. It's a reality. We need to understand this. Now we are living in a digital era. People spoke about a lot of digital intervention happening day in and day out, okay? And I will give you a small example. Like the other day I landed from Mumbai, at the Mumbai airport in the afternoon, and I wanted to go to my office. What I did, there was no taxi. I immediately dialed, Uber, and it was available in, 10 minutes, okay? I wanted to have lunch. I ordered box 8. The moment I reached office, my lunch was there. I paid my taxi fare through e-wallet. So everything is digital, okay? So that needs to be accepted now, that digital is going to be the norm. Until the moment that acceptability come in the mindset, and yes, there is a role of the MSO that needs to be played, because the whole local cable operator, they do not have the wherewithal or the technology to support them. There comes the role of the MSOs. They need to empower the LCOs. Okay, they need to understand that LCO is also a key element or a key stakeholder in this whole digitization process. Without LCO, just to reiterate, digitization is not possible. They have to be taken into account. They need to be empowered. They need to be made a key functionary of this whole digitization.
Okay. Arvind, Prabhoo, you would want to add something?
Yeah, sure. I'm very glad Ajay mentioned how cable TV started. In fact, I'll spare 2 minutes on that. It was more than 20 years ago. It was in 1990 or 89 that the cable operator, or the local cable operator as we call him, or used to call him, I would like to rephrase that local cable operator into the last mile owner. With your permission, Ajay, because you are an MSO. The significance of that, it will unfold to you. So it was way before a lot of broadcasting channels, satellite channels, started that the cable operator, who was an entrepreneur, started laying his or her network, made a network on the ground which was capable of carrying almost 60 channels, much before there were any satellite channels in the country. So that is the history of the cable operator. Having said that, it is only later on in the 1995s that the MSO or the multi-system operator realized the potential of what is existing as a network. And also the broadcasters understanding that, hey, here is a network which is capable of carrying almost 60 channels, and all this investment has been done by small, unorganized players. It is in 1995 that the Cable Television Act came into place. I regret to say there is still no Broadcast Act. So any of the broadcasters still trying to find out, there is no Broadcast Act in the country. But the Cable Television Regulation Act came as far as 1995. Just to put things into perspective as to why digitization is still posing some challenges. So here, the industry has been an unregulated industry until now, when the digitization has finally been mandated, and we welcome digitization. But the rules and regulations which were laid out by the Telecom Regulatory Authority were slightly directed towards the corporatization or so-called, I mean, it wasn't very cable operator friendly. We were not taken into consideration very seriously. It is only through a lot of hard work that even Ajay's company has put in that finally the local cable operator has now become one of the forefronts in this digitization. So empowerment of the local cable operator by the MSO is one of the key things which needs to be done. I may add here that Hathway as a company has taken a few bold steps into empowering the cable operator. Not all of the MSOs have done that, but I think they are falling in line. And most importantly, it is now that the regulator has understood that the last mile owner is one of the key factors toward digitization. And I beg to differ with what Ajay is saying, that the cable operator is not empowered to do it or technically empowered. All the upgradations through 1990 have been done. I'm talking about RG59 to now fiber to the home has been done by the cable operator. The MSOs or any other people have had no role in that. I'm talking about taking fiber to the home has been done by the last mile owner or the cable operator. So they are very well equipped. It is only the middle ground needs to be found between the MSO, the broadcaster, and the last mile owner. And I think things will really shape up very fast.
Okay. So probably that's something we would like to comment.
You see, when I talk about empowering the LCO, I'm not talking about their last mile network connectivity. It was always there, okay? What they currently lack is the digital divide, you know, like most of the cable operator when they started, you know, like the computer literacy was not there, okay? Now when you have to provide service to a consumer, whereby what Nitin said was consumer now decides what to watch, when to watch, where to watch, okay? So to implement all those things in a cable industry, the local cable operators or his team, whosoever is there, has to be digitally savvy to accept the changes that needs to be incorporated in the overall LCO community. Thank you.
Okay. So speaking about phase 3, which is completed as we say last year, 31st December, what were the major difficulties that were faced by operators in achieving this deadline, in working towards this deadline?
Yeah. as an MSO, is more empowered to answer
So
that.
phase 3 is still not over, just to give you a proper perspective.
Yeah.
The sunset date was 31st of December 2015. However, due to various stays granted by some of the high courts, the matter, still is lying with the Delhi High Court. And we hope that by first week of May, all these stays would get vacated. The challenges which were faced in phase 3 was learning from the, I would say, experience that all the MSOs got from the phase 1 and 2 implementation. Okay, whereby boxes were seeded to grab the market. So from grabbing, now the whole industry is moving towards monetization. And when the issue of monetization come, the MSOs were a bit, were cautious in giving the boxes. Plus, the regulator also, when the digitization started, there were a lot of forbearance from the side of the regulator. But when phase 3 came in, there were a lot of pressures from the regulators also as to how the boxes has to be seeded, how the CAF has to be collected, no pre-activated boxes has to be given. So all these issues were there, okay? And somehow the ground believed that there would be some kind of, laxity that would be granted to them, which never happened. And these obviously were the key challenges that were there when phase 3 happened. However, we are very hopeful that, you all would have read the report that was given by the Secretary MIB that in last week that around 90% digitization has already happened. It is in spite of the stays that has been granted by the various states, high courts. And that 10% we are very hopeful would get completed once the stay is vacated sometime in May. So phase 3 should be over by June. This is what.
Okay. So you mentioned, Arvind, Prabhoo, about empowering the LMOs, if you want to call them like that. Yeah. So how as far as Hathway is concerned, you mentioned that they have been doing initiatives. At your level, at your organization's level, how have you been working towards that?
Okay, so we've been holding a lot of seminars and workshops for our local cable operators and we've tried to make them understand that in the digital space, we need to reskill ourselves. You can't be the same cable operator you were 20 years ago. And there are, like Ajay mentioned, that we need to be more computer savvy. It's not only about being computer savvy, there's so many things to the digital world. We need to be doing our marketing bit, we need to do our digitization studies in terms of what quality signal needs to reach a particular home, whether it's FTTH or whether we are using the GPON, EPON system. So a lot of reskilling needs to be done. And in that, we've tied up with the telecom skills sector, where we hold these periodic sessions where we teach cable operators what needs to be done. We also interact very closely with the MSOs like Hathway, and we try to discuss with them as to what is it that they want us to do. And interaction between the MSO and the LMO community is only increasing now. Although there is lots to be done, especially in terms of in terms of the box selection, things like that. We are not very happy with the kind of set-top boxes being brought in by the MSOs. I think a lot of consumer education also needs to be done. We need to find out what the consumer wants, whether it is just a zapper box which needs to be put in, or whether the consumer is now in a position to accept a higher box. These are the things which we try and ask our LMO friends to find out. And once we get that data, that data is what we are going to give the MSOs, and hopefully, in the next couple of months, as everyone has said, that there's going to be just an explosion in the digital world. Hopefully, we'll be able to achieve that.
Okay.
So we are doing a lot of reskilling, basically reskilling.
So at Hathway level, specifically, what are the kind of initiatives that you've worked towards in this perspective?
You see, if you look at the whole cable space, till now it has been only a collection, okay, whether it is LCOs or LMOs or the MSOs, it was always a collection-driven organization or a sector, whereby every month the target is that you go and collect this much money. The executive goes and asks these LCOs, go and, yeah, I want this much money. So it was only a collection-driven organization that was there. So now we are focusing, like the pipeline is such that it can cater so many services apart from TV services or the cable services. So we are trying to inculcate a sales habit. Okay, we are trying to educate our LCOs. We are trying to educate our collection boys, okay, regarding how to transform this whole sector into a sales organization. To do that, what we have started is we have launched a program for our LMO friends or the LCO friends, which we call at Hathway Connect. Okay, Hathway Connect is basically a portal, and obviously many people sitting in the room would say that what is so unique about a portal? There are thousands of portals running today, but if you look at the cable industry, this is a new concept. Okay, today the consumer have to go to the LCO, and then LCO has to call up his MSO if he wants to activate a package. Okay, what we are trying to do is we are trying to empower LCO to actually act as an entrepreneur by himself. This portal will help him to do whatever I as a MSO is doing right now. He can activate a customer, he can deactivate a customer, he can generate bills for the customer, he can allow his customer to choose the packages that he wants to choose. All these activities we are trying to empower LCO so that the feeling that I am not the entrepreneur goes off. And that will, and why we are doing it through technology is that technology brings in that trust, okay, because human intervention is not there, okay, which is currently lacking in this whole relationship.
Okay, so Arvind, Prabhoo, how pertinent is this empowerment for the success of Phase 4?
Phase 4, we're still struggling with Phase 1, 2 and 3. It's really very funny when everyone talks about Phase 4. Lessons that we are learning every day in Phase 1, Phase 2, the MSOs are now putting it into force in Phase 3. Mistakes which were made by all of us, I'm not blaming anybody. It was a question of turf. Whose turf are we treading on? The MSO thought that they had a particular turf. The LMO knew that that turf was built by him or her. The regulators had some skewed imagination in their minds, which thankfully they are changing. Lessons that we learn every day we are trying to implement them. I mean, Ajay and me, we are sitting here close with each other, but most of the week we do fight, and there are 3-4 calls which I give him, and it's not in the best of my temperature control, but I kind of have a very fruitful talk with Ajay most of the week, trying to iron out the differences. And he does solve them, so it's not that he doesn't solve them. But the LMO empowerment portal that he's talking about, I wish before they made the portal, they should have consulted us. And they have been facing problems when they go out that, they should have asked us as their partners, could we have done something better, or should we have done this or not? That still doesn't happen. So they have some think tank which thinks for the MSO, and then they come and tell us that this is what we want you to do. Now that may or may not be acceptable to me, and therefore there is a little bit of a delay. But every day is a learning experience, and I'm sure by the time we enter phase 4, I think most of these differences will be taken out, and that's going to happen very rapidly, very rapidly. If the stay order goes May 1st, as Ajay has predicted, I don't think it will happen, but I think things will move very fast.
Okay,
They
so
will move very fast.
yes, so I don't think we are that much far from phase 4.
You see, phase 4, the challenges are completely different. Okay, phase 1 was all the metros, phase 2, 38 towns, then another, like cities where more than. In phase 4, if you look at the socio-economic census that came in 2011, 75% of the population is having a monthly earning of only 5,000 rupees. That means every 3 out of 4 households is earning less than 5,000 rupees. 75% of them is less than rupees 10,000. And 28% of the total population does not have mobile phones, any form of communication. That came out with this census. So the phase 4 challenges would not be only what we are facing in phase 1, 2, 3, but it would also be what is the price that we are looking at in phase 4. Okay? Because still we are debating what would be the Rio price of for a customer, should be a bouquet price, what should be the wholesale price. But if you look at phase 4, all these becomes meaningless. Okay? Because currently though we are suffering from a low ARPU, but when we look at phase 4, it will be much, much lower ARPU than what we are even looking at today. So when we talk about phase 4, the ARPU would be, say, less than rupees 150 for a consumer. Okay? Out of 150, how much goes to the LCO, how much goes to the broadcaster, it's anybody's guess. Apart from that, what has happened is this delay of phase 3, all the MSOs, major MSOs, have a lot of stock lying in their godowns. Every MSO would have invested more than 300 to 500 crores, and at least 100 crores are lying there in godown. So will the MSOs would be willing to invest further? Also, it's very scattered market. Okay, because if you look at the whole phase 4, it's completely rural, plus it also includes the hamlets. When you talk about hamlets, there would be only 3 or 4 houses. Okay, and for a MSO to be viable in that situation is a question mark. Because if you look at the current cost structure of an MSO, any subscriber base which is less than 10,000 does not make a viable proposition to an MSO. So what are the options? Okay, so if you look at the options in phase 4 for an MSO to go and seed boxes, what I see is there could be a lot of alignment between MSO and a HITS operator. Okay, because to carry signal to the phase 4, the link becomes a very vital clog. Okay, and taking link from to phase 4 would be a costly affair. So what we feel is that there would be a lot of alignment between HITS player and the MSOs, plus the channels would be purely on a la carte. Let the customer decide whether he wants to see 1 channel, 2 channel, 10 channel, or he wants to see a bouquet. And if you want to make a bouquet, the bouquet cannot be more than 8, 10. It cannot be like today's that a bouquet consists of 200 channels. It has to be a bouquet of 8 or 10. Apart from that, the broadcaster need to see whether they will continue to give content at the cost that they are offering to MSOs. It will not sell, completely not sell. Plus, and further to illustrate, G Anmol, like it's a channel of GTV. What they do is they transmit GTV programs on G Anmol on a couple of days delay. And it's surprising to note that after BARC rating came in, the G Anmol rating have gone up, and they have got a substantial amount of advertisement revenue from G Anmol. So in phase 4, what we predict is lot of pay channel, and it's a free to air. Lot of pay channels will become free to air channels. Okay, because it will give to the broadcasters. They will be able to generate ad revenues. So in our opinion, that should be the way forward as far as phase 4 is concerned. But yes, it may take time because phase 3 has already been delayed.
So technically speaking, what impact of digitization on operations? Because obviously, as you mentioned, going towards technology is important. And how would it change the way that LMOs operate? So what are your views on that?
No, before that, I would like to say
Please.
in phase 4,
Yeah.
as Ajay mentioned, most of the national MSOs will find it difficult to go to phase 4. Even in phase 3 and phase 4, there are close to 5,000 small independent MSOs. We've seen that only 600 or 700 of them have got a DAS license. Okay, so what is going to happen to the remaining 4,000 is still a big question mark. Out of these 600 or 700 MSOs who have got MSO DAS license, how many of them are equipped to operate into the digital world? Having invested maybe a crore or two, it's not easy to run a digital head-end. With all the statutory compliances required, all the audits required, the SMSs, XYZ, and then what is going to happen is, how do the broadcaster treat these small independent MSOs? Do they treat them at par with the national MSOs? What is going to be the pricing structure? Is there going to be differential pricing for phase 3, phase 4? So a lot of these things still need to be sorted out. And I think only time will tell how the broadcasters behave. But for the national MSOs to penetrate into the phase 3, phase 4 areas, I don't think it's going to be viable. The only way that the LMOs over there can function into a digital world is if they form small cooperatives, if they get together, small towns of 5,000 each, if they're able to get together, and if the government actually facilitates the fiber, long-haul fiber connectivity. This is a demand that we've been making to the government, that why don't you make the long-haul connectivity at a cheaper rate? And that's where I think the telcos can be of big help.
Okay.
We've been speaking to a few telcos. They've promised us to come on a revenue share basis. But all these things, all these models need to be put into place. Infrastructure sharing, if that happens, and Ajay mentioned about hits. Well, hits, although we promote hits in a large way, hits to be successful needs to still be a bit more aggressive in what they are doing. I thought one of the hits players are going to be here, but
unfortunately,
now Ankur could not come. Ankur Jain could not make it. We know Jain is a struggling hits player. He's a good friend of ours, but he's a struggling player. The other hits player, Next
Digital.
They don't have representation here today, but they were not able to make such a big impact. From I know, what I know. I may be wrong. But hits will play a very critical role, and it's something that we need to see if they change their marketing strategies, come up with cheaper boxes, things like that. It's only then that phase 4 may be truly achieved. Otherwise, it looks very difficult, very difficult.
You share the feeling?
Yes, phase 4 for national MSOs, whatever area is, like we are doing in phase 3, if the area is, around phase 3, definitely the national MSOs would like to go and digitize. But yes, because obviously uh, I just mentioned earlier was that the viability question will definitely come in phase 4. Okay, and that's a challenge. So so another answer to this whole challenge could be the technology. Again, we are talking of technology. Uh, you can have a head end which can cater, say, instead of giving 500 or a 600 channel, it could be give, like 100 channel or a 200 channel, because looking at a phase 4 market, we feel that and also there is a TRI did an internal survey, and they came out with the fact that in maximum a person sees about 8 to 10 channel at the max, okay, and rest all it's only a flip-flop for him. So looking at the survey that was conducted by TRI, if we believe it to be true, then yes, I think, the one way is to have a head end which can cater, provide 100 channels or so. Plus, the game changer could be the Reliance 4G if it comes in. So if Reliance 4G, 100 rupees, 80 rupees kind of thing that they are promising, if they come in, then I don't think so rural India needs anybody else.
Good. Is there any question? Yes, please. You have a question at the back, and then at the front.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
loud and clear.
The linear television as far as the revenue potential for the DAS4 market. I mean, there is a big market. There's a huge amount of population lying over there. This forum is basically OTT. So therefore, there could be a potential for earning revenue beyond linear television also, which could be, an incentive for the LMO or for the MSO to go forward for this particular places also.
You see, just on a lighter note, what is one of the reasons cited for a dense population that India has? Because that's the cheapest mode of entertainment. Okay, so everything which is costly in rural India has to be looked into. When you are talking about 650 million people with a daily earning of 38 rupees that came out. Okay, and if you are trying to say that, look, OTT and all those services, it's miles to go. It's miles to go. It will take time. We are still, there has to be a very, very cost-effective product to sell in phase 4 market.
Okay.
I can
Yeah,
answer that.
please.
So as an initiative that MCOF is taking, Maharashtra Cable Operators Foundation is taking, what we are doing is we are creating hotspots in small villages and rural areas. We are empowering the LMOs to create these hotspots if they have sufficient bandwidth over there. If they don't, we are providing them with bandwidth. And we are actually trying to make them understand how OTT works. Now, we are selling 3 hours of almost 2G or 3G, 4G speeds at 5 rupees for 3 hours and 10 rupees for a whole day. So we are creating around 10,000 hotspots in Maharashtra, whereby we will popularize the OTT platform by a small ticket. It's not a big ticket money, but that's how we are going to empower the LMOs, and that has already started. So just to answer your question, we are doing that already. And I think somebody from Bangalore is also, they called me, and they are also going to replicate that model. So maybe the LMO along with the MSO, if the MSO is an internet service provider or any other telco provides bandwidth, then we can create these hotspots where a lot of OTT can be sold also.
Okay, we'll wrap up with this, the last question.
Hi, this is Anup Anwari, Indian Television. Just a comment. Phase 4 we are talking about. Phase 1, yes, has it happened? In what manner? Basic zapper boxes. I'm in Bombay, I still don't get a bill. There's still a problem with the MSO, LCO, and the broadcaster. The distribution isn't happening. you could have had even systems in the boxes when you were starting with the entire digitization. Instead of having somebody like Bach, the MSO itself could have all the collection of who's watching what in each home. Why wasn't all this done? Right from the initial stage. Anybody who could answer?
You see, what you said is absolutely right. Yes, still there are issues. There are bills are not going to the consumers. But whenever new things comes up, it has its own challenges. Okay, nobody anticipated. Okay, the friction that came in when the whole digitization process started was, one of the key element of digitization was transparency, right? Okay, that digitization would bring transparency. And what was this transparency all about? When analog was there, it was not known how many consumers were there, okay? So there was a loss of revenue for the government. The consumer did not have a choice, okay? So all these ills were supposed to be, cured by digitization. So obviously when digitization happens, the LCO community, unfortunately, took it as if this whole digitization process was to grab their market, okay? As a result of which, the billing issue that you are saying, because as I informed, 90% of all MSOs do business through LCOs, okay? The collection happens to LCOs, okay? For a MSO can generate a bill, but the issue is how to know what is the amount that has been paid by the subscriber. That was the challenge, okay? Unless and until I know whether subscriber A paid 200 rupees for the package or he paid 250 was not there, because LCO was not giving that detail to the MSO. Similarly, it was not only LCO's issue, because LCO was also dependent upon his collection boy. Okay, the collection boys used to go door to door. If you remember, there was a rate card like thing, he will come, take you the signatures. Whether he is depositing with the LCO, that was not known. However, these things over the period we have tried to rectify. Now the portal that I am talking about is we are trying, like one of the UPAS person who is assisting us in this whole process sitting here, his MD. Now we have a handheld device, okay, which talks to my SMS. The collection boy goes to the subscriber, takes the money, generates a receipt online. The receipt is posted in the SMS at that moment of time. So that it's a time consuming, it will take some more time, because as you said, the nitty-gritties of this whole industries are still getting cleared, okay? We have reached, at least in my opinion, we have reached 50%. 50% still is work in progress. But I foresee that in the coming 6 months to 1 year, with the focus back on the relationships that, empowering the LCOs and how to take them along in this whole journey is on. We are very hopeful that in the next 1 year, all this would be completely sorted out.
Okay. So we'll wrap this panel up with this. Thank you very much for your participation, for responding to this invitation.